Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to all of the students. Okay, hope all of you are still safe, still healthy in this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, just want to hear from you. Can you hear my voice? Can you see the videos?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please raise up your hands.
Video.
I want to know, is it you are still in front of your computer? Raise up your hands. Cik Wan Dania, are you there? Nur Shafira, are you there? Muhammad Norman and Muhammad Ikram is not yet inside the class. I tried to call them. So most of you are here, Alhamdulillah. So we are waiting for another 2 students, but never mind, we cannot wait for them. Hopefully they will join the class. Okay. Okay, so I want to share directly my slide so that we can do our session of class much faster. Okay. So in this week, what we're going to cover is to perform the MATLAB editor and debugger. Okay. In actual, we have studied this part in your week number 1, where we have used your MATLAB editor, or in this case, we are using Octave. Okay, we are using Octave. We are using your editor to edit your files, and you use the command window to perform activities. Okay, so in this week 3, what we want to achieve is to investigate the other 3 learning outcomes, which one of it is to create and use the MATLAB script files correctly to store commands. And in actual, we have covered this in your week 1. Okay, so the other 2 remaining learning outcome will be covered today, which is consists of to create and use MATLAB or Octave functions, okay, for automating certain repeating tasks, certain repeated computational tasks. And I do believe, because from your previous class, you have also created function in your C++ class, so you can do able also to perform function or to create function in Octave, especially to automate certain repetitive tasks. Okay, and the third learning outcome is to ensure that you can perform flow control of the program or of the code correctly by using 2 kind of loops, where the first one we call it as if else if loop, and another one we call it as while loop. Okay, so the third learning outcome is to ensure that you can control whatever that you wanted, so that you can correctly execute the correct block of commands by using these loops and another loops. Okay, so in this week we just only covered for these 2 learning outcome, because the first learning outcome has been covered in your week number 1. Okay. Okay, as I said before, the second learning outcome is to create and to use functions. Okay, so in any programming, usually you will deal with the complicated tasks where you can simplify the task by using functions. Okay, so what I meant by using function, you can create a function interactively, and you can use it to deal with the repetitive tasks. So function can be defined directly either by using command line. So in my real practice, I don't use this command line, but I will use external files to store all of the command in the function so that we can call that function at any time, just like other built-in function or built-in commands to automate or to execute repetitive tasks. Okay, so it is best if we apply this into one exercise so that you can appreciate whatever I have talked now. So before we do that exercise, we must know the syntax of the functions, the general syntax of the function. So the general syntax will be in this manner, where you have to type the function, this function word you have to type in front of the code, and then it is accompanied by this kind of bracket. You must use this kind of bracket only, and in this bracket you will assign your output, your output variables. So if let's say you have 3 outputs, so maybe you have the return value 1 as the first output, the return value number 2 as the second output, and maybe you have after this comma the return value of 3. If let's say you have 3 outputs variables, and you proceed with this equal sign, you must put this equal sign, and you must proceed with the name of the function. So the name of the function is a unique name that you have to define on your own, and usually you will define it according to the task that you want to repeat. So if let's say you want to perform addition of 2 numbers, so maybe you can put this name to be addition of 2 numbers as example. And after that, you have this kind of bracket. So this bracket is a circular bracket. It's not like this bracket. So please be ensure that. And this is where you put all of your input arguments, or your input arguments. So if let's say you have to add 2 numbers, so maybe the first argument here is the number 1, let's say n1, and comma n2 to denoting second number, and you will close that by this circular bracket. So the number of the input variables or input arguments and the number of the output variable is depending on your applications. And after that, you can type your chunk of code here in this body, where you can type whatever command that you want to type here so that it can perform the task. And the function will be ended by this statement called as end function. So remember that function and end function, you must type it. If not, you will, if you run it, you have error. So that is the syntax of the function when you want to run by Octave or by MATLAB. So far, is there any question for this topic? Is there any question from all of you?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, to appreciate what we want, what we have already talked about, especially for function, I'll give you a simple example where you can use a function to find summation of 2 numbers, x1 and x2. And let's say I have a lot of number of data sets of x1 and x2. Let's say this number to be 1, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 4, 5, 0, 0, negative 10. Okay, so we want to write a function so that we can do a summation of these 2 numbers. And because of this number is more than 1, it is better if we use a function. Okay, so we have to use Octave in order to perform this. So I will open my Octave program. Okay, so in order to create a function, in my practice, I like to use a new function script. Okay, point your mouse to the file menu and put your mouse in the new and click this new function script, new function. So you are required now to name the function name. So because you are writing a code for do summation, so I will use the name function as jumlah. Why I'm not using the word sum there? Because I'm afraid by using my sum, I've defined as sum, it will override the sum function that we have already in Octave. So in order to avoid that, I will use another name, jumlah. So that is a new function itself. So I will click this. So see carefully when I click this OK function, this OK button, then you have a script suddenly appeared, and you can delete this green color because the green color is only command line. I just delete it. And you may see that the syntax of the function is suddenly written like that. Okay? So the name of the function is automatically put here, jumlah, and waiting you to include what is the input variables and also what is your output variables. Okay? Okay, so in your problem, you have two values that to be your input variables. So I will put in my input argument here, let's say to be number 1. And for my second argument to be number 2. Okay, so must be the same. Okay, order. And for the function, the output here, because it is only one output, why I say one output? Because you have to find only the summation. The task is to do summation, so it is only one task. So I will put here maybe to be summation. That is my output. So in order to find the addition of two numbers, so we have to add the input that you have passed to this, the number 1 plus with the second number. Okay, and I will assign this to a output variable that you have typed on the top, which is equal to summation. And I will hide the output by putting the semicolons, and maybe I can delete these remaining rows to make it much more tidier. So that's all. We have finished already defining the function jumlah. So now I have to save this. Okay, please take care about this one. When you want to save this file, remember that you must save in a directory that will be the same as your command window directory. Okay, so my command window directory, if you see carefully here, it is in C/users/users, but I want to put it in my desktop. Okay, so I will use command window in this directory, desktop, and in my editor, which is this the function, you have also to place it also or save the file in the desktop too. Okay, so where is my desktop? I have to find my desktop. So this is my desktop, and the file name you just accept what it is. The file name is jumlah. Do not change it, and I will save it. Okay, if I minimize this Octave program, you may see that on my desktop. This is my desktop. The file function jumlah is saved here. Okay? This is the file jumlah. Okay? It is in the desktop. And ensure that in your command window, this is also in desktop. Okay? So you must put your file function as the same with your command window directory. Okay. So now we want to perform that addition. So if you look carefully your file, I will open my file jumlah again. Open my jumlah. I just use this function name, which is jumlah. So I will write it as, sorry. So I will clear the screen. Here all variable. Okay. The file name, the file function is jumlah, and it is you have to input the first number, which is 1, and the second number is 1 to this function. So 1, 1. The first one is your first number. The second one is your second number that you want to add up. And let's say I want to store this answer to a variable let's say sum 1. Okay. So if I push my enter button, then you can see that it is calculate automatically 1 plus 1. Okay. So similarly, if I repeat the same process but using another data set, which is 2 and 3. The first number is 2, the second number is 3. So I just change this to be 2 and 3. And maybe I want to store it with another variable, let's say sum 2. So if I push enter, the answer will be 5. Okay? And you can repeat the same task by inserting the next data set, let's say -1, 4. So I will change it to be -1, 4. And maybe I change also the sum 2 to be sum 3. So the third summation product, the answer will be 3, and so on. So far, is there any question for this? Ada apa-apa soalan tak untuk ini?
Tak ada, sir.
Okay. So the thing that you should remember is that the command window directory, which I'm using now here, is C users desktop, must be the same with the directory of your function file. So this function file jumlah, if I right click, you can click on the properties. It is also in where is it? In details, I think. In C users desktop. The same directory of my command window, which is C users desktop, must be the same. What happens if it is not the same? If let's say I change this, I put in this folder form1. So meaning that maybe I have to close this first. Okay, so it's already shifted now, or it's already moved to the form1. So that jumlah is now here in this folder. So let's say if I run it again, remember that I'm using C users desktop. So in the command window, so let's say I run this command, then you have error. Why it is error? Because your file of function here is not in this directory. It is already moved to this folder. So what happens if I change back the location? So let's say I cut this, I paste back to here, okay, where is in this desktop, and I run that command again, then you can find the summation. Boleh? Boleh tak? Ada masalah tak setakat ni? Boleh?
Boleh.
Okay.
Boleh, sir.
Boleh,
Okay.
sir.
What will be the next if let's say you have multiple outputs? Because this one you have only one output, summation. Let's say on exercise 2 or example 2, let's say we have two outputs. Okay, the first output is to perform summation, and the second output is to find the difference between x1 and x2. So how to deal with that? Okay, so you can do a function that handling multiple outputs is very easy. So you open back your file name again, file open the jumlah. Okay, so because you are dealing with summation, which is you have done already, now you want to perform subtraction. So we have to put this bracket and put the next output variable, let's say the subtraction, and enclosed by that bracket, and perform that conditions. Number 1 minus number 2. Okay, so I will save this file. Okay, and see what will happen if I run it. So I will clear the screen, the clear variables, and CLC. Okay. So let's say I want to perform this. Okay. So before that, I have to see whether open my jumlah. I should put this because I want to hide the the information. Okay, save it, and I will try to run it. Ensure that the jumlah is in the desktop, and also my command window also in desktop. Okay, so see what will happen. Okay, kenapa keluar satu saja kat sini? Okay, the problem kenapa kita keluar satu sini, because remember that we have only specifying one output variable here, whereas your output to be 2, your output to be 2, something like this. So in order to call out that 2 outputs, you must use this bracket. So maybe the first one is your jumlah nombor, let's say I name it, and the second number is penolakan nombor, let's say that is equal to jumlah, let's say to be -1. See what will happen if I push enter button, and you may see that the 2 output will be displayed. The addition of these 2 numbers is 3, and the subtraction between -1 and 4 will be -5. So if we repeat the same task, let's say this to be 0, let's say this is to be 9, and I want to name this as jumlah number 1, let's say this is penolakan number 1, let's say, and if you run it, you will get 0 and -9. Oh, sorry, 9 and -9, because you add up 0 and 9, you get 9. When you minus 0 and 9, you get -9. Okay, so you can repeat this task, whatever they wanted. So I don't want to rename this because taking time, so I just run this, and you get. Okay, so you can configure your code to have single output or multiple output. Okay? So if they say you have another output, you just add the comma after the subtraction. So maybe the next will be multiplication. Okay, so I will do that multiplication by multiplying number 1 with that number 2, okay, and put the semicolon to hide the answer, and save it. And if I clear all, if let's say this is the darab nombor, let's say 1. So if I do that now, you get 3 outputs. The first one is the addition, the second one is the subtraction, the third one is the multiplication, and you can perform maybe division, exponential, it's up to you. So meaning that by using function, you can have multiple outputs or single outputs, and you can vary also your input. It's up to your program, and because in this exercise we need to find the summation of these 2 numbers. So maybe if you have 3 numbers, you can also change that one. Let's say we change that 3 numbers, so I just number 3. Okay, so maybe I can add here the third number. Okay, maybe I can deduct the third number here, and I can multiply the third number there. Okay, so if I save that file, see what happened in your okay. So if I do that, then I get, so must put the third number. They say that will be 0. Okay, there is a problem there. Maybe because of, I think here must be small letter U. Okay. Okay, I save it and I run it again. And you get that. That solution. But now the input is 3. Okay. So the addition of 1 plus 9 plus 0 is 10. 1 minus 9 minus 0 is -8. 1 times 9 times 0, you get 0. Okay. So is there any question for this function?
No, sir.
Okay, hopefully you can follow. Okay, so we have already finished about the function. Okay. Next is to know about loops. The first loop that you want to cover is the if-else-if loops. Okay. And before we study about if-else-if loop, we have to know the definition of loops. So what is loops? I think most of you know about C++. Is only is useful if you want to perform a repetition of block of commands or code for a known purpose, okay, for a number couple of times, and that number of couple of times will be greatly depending on the loop's type. Okay, so let's say you have a certain computation that you want to perform a kind of repetition for many times, then it is advisable to use loop. Okay? And in this context, I want to introduce you to a if and else if loop. Okay? If and else if loop. Okay? So sometimes you have also here else if, okay? And it will be ended by and. Okay? Or some of the program use and if. Okay? Okay, what is this is for? If let's say you want to test a condition, let's say you have condition 1 here. Okay, if condition 1 is true, okay, if condition 1 is true, then statement number 1 will be executed. Dengan syarat dia true. So if statement 1 is true, then statement 1 will be executed. So once it is executed, then it will go out from the loop and the job will end. Okay, itu cerita dia. However, if condition 1 is false, statement number 1 will be not executed, but will go to the next else statement. So maybe the else if statement have condition 2 here. And if let's say this condition 2 is true, then it will execute statement number 2 here. And after statement number 2 has been executed, then it will be loop out and finish the job. Okay. And if let's say, if condition 1 is not true, so meaning that it goes to the else if, and if condition 2 also is not true, then it will go out and stop the task. So that is meant by if else if loop. You can repeat a block of command for a number of times, and it's depending on the loop types. So I think most of you have done this in your C++, where you do the if else if loop to control the flow of the program, because you have a lot of condition that you must fulfill, and if that condition is fulfilled, then you have to perform certain tasks. If that condition is not being fulfilled, then you have to perform another task, and so on. Okay, so as an exercise or as an demonstration, we will do one simple example to understand the if else if loop. Okay, and usually is ended by an if. So this is the loop. Okay, let's say we have here where I want to determine whether the roots from quadratic equations. So remember, your quadratic equation will be ex squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay, so in order to find the root, if you still remember your form 5 mathematics, the root is x is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And in order to know whether the root is real, distinct, or imaginary, you have to know the characteristic of these numbers, of this expression called as b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so if b squared minus 4ac, there are three kind of possibilities. Okay, If the expression is equal to 0, then the root will be real. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, the roots will be distinct. And last one, if the b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, then the root is imaginary. Imaginary. So there are three conditions, okay? And it is greatly depending on the value of b, a, and c. And if you plug in the value of b, a, c in this expression, then you can categorize the root types, whether to be real, distinct, and imaginary. So we want to do the exercise using Octave. Okay. So I have to open my Octave and I will use my script. So I don't want to use function, I use a new script. I don't want to use command window. I want to use script. Okay, like this. And as usual, I will type CLC and K all, and I'll put some comment line there. This program will determine the types of roots for a quadratic equation using if, else if, and if loop. Okay, so what you should do, because the categories of your roots is greatly depending on this b squared minus 4ac. So meaning that you have to ask the user what is the value of a. So maybe I just put a random value here. Let's say a is to be 2. And let's say your b, let's say to be 3, and so 3, and your c to be 4. Okay. And I have to compute your b squared minus 4 times a times c. And let's say all of this expression I put in the variable called as type. Type. So I want to hide this value by putting semicolon. So now in order to categorize the type of the roots, where is the, okay, we have to know three conditions. So the first condition is when this type is equal to 0. So if type is equal, okay, then you will display on the screen. DISP is a command to display text. The root is real. So if let's say this is not true, then we have to use else if command. Else if type is greater than 0, then you have to display the root will be distinct. So if type is greater than 0, then the computer will display the root is distinct. Okay. However, if this type is also is not true, meaning that less than 0, so else if type is less than 0, then it will be displaying the root is imaginary. Imaginary. Okay? And you have to end the command by using and if. If you don't put an if, there is an error. So once you put an if, you can see that the if on the top will be connected to the bottom, meaning that it is already complete. So maybe I have to save this file in my desktop and I name it as roots for quadratic. Okay, so we will test this program whether it is working or not, and we know that the input is 2, 3, and 4. So I will run it. Hopefully there is no error. and the root is imaginary. Okay, so if let's say I have another value of a, to be, let's say, to be 3, and let's say this is to be -2, and this is to be this 5. So if I run this, and you find that the root still imaginary. So maybe I can change this one to be, let's say, to be 1, -2, and 1. See what will happen. The root is real. Okay. So how to find to be distinct? So let's say this one to be 1. Let's see, this is to be 9. This is 2. Let's see. I try to run it. Hopefully, there's a now the root is distinct. Okay, so that's how you use if else if to control the flow of the program. This is one example of it. So is there any question so far for this particular topic? If else if?
So far, okay, sir.
So far, okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, so if that's so, we proceed to the next loop. The loop, we call it as while loop. While loop. So what is while loop? While loop is very useful if you want to execute a block of commands or block of codes more than once, but you need to stop that executions if it met certain logical condition. Okay? So maybe you have certain codes that you want to run multiple of times, but that execution will be stopped if suddenly met certain logical condition. So when I said logical condition, meaning that whether the condition to be true or false, because logic, you just only have two values only, either to be true or false. Apa masalah tu? Ada yang tahu? Okay, is it okay, all of you?
Okay.
Okay. So what is the syntax? The general syntax of while loops. So you must type the word while here. So maybe some of you are not muting. Okay. Okay, the syntax will be something like this. You have to type your word while, and it must be ended by and while. Okay, so this must be in pair. While and while must be in pair, and there is a condition that you want to test. Okay, and while this condition is still true, while this condition is still true, you will execute any command inside this. Any code inside this will be executed if this condition is still true. However, if suddenly this condition to be false, then the execution will be stopped and you will get out from the loops. So that is the while loops. It is different than if loops. Very different. Any question for this? For this while loop?
Tak ada, sir.
Okay. So let's say we have one example here. I want to add the first, should be this one is the first, not the first. The first three numbers in my matrix A. So hopefully you still remember of your matrix. So in my matrix A, I have element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I want just to add the first three numbers only by using while loop. I want to use while loop in order to add the first three numbers only. Maksudnya 1, 2, and 3 only. For element number 4, 5, and 6, I don't want to add. So how to do that in while loop? Can you suggest the way to do that? You have to use while loops, while, and you must have and while. Okay? So what is the condition they have to type here? What is the condition here?
Number
of
A less than 4. Good.
Less than 4. So
Yes.
while the number is greater or less than 4?
Less.
Less
Less
than
than
4.
That's what? Less than what?
Less than 4.
Okay, 4. Then you will add up the numbers inside. Okay? You will add the first 3 numbers in matrix A lah. The first 3 number in matrix A. Okay, so this will be performing adding the numbers until the numbers less than 3. So when the number is suddenly more than 3, which is 4, then it will stop the process. So we'll do this inside your Octave. I will do that for you. So I will close this because it is not required anymore. So I will use my script, new script. Okay. So as usual, clear all and CLC. For this program, you have to put some kind of comment. This program is to perform addition of the first 3 elements lah, elements in matrix A. By using what? By using while loop. By using the while loop. Okay, tak kisah saya tukar huruf kecil huruf besar, doesn't matter. Okay. So what you should do now, we have to put the while loop. While what? While what?
A.
It's not A because your A is your matrix. So let's say I name it, I name my element number to be 1, let's see. And let's say my A matrix is defined to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay. And I have to, when I is equal to 4, when I is less than 4, then what you do, you have to perform the addition of A with a certain value that is 0 in the beginning, and you will update it to that jumlah. Sorry, must be jumlah is equal to jumlah plus AI, where the jumlah in the beginning will be 0. Isn't it?
Yes.
And after that, I will be updated by 1, so that when the loop is going up, then we have to test the next element. Okay? So I have to do this in your command window. So let's say this one. Okay. So if I want to add A1, okay, so I have to add like this. The first 3, then you get 6. Okay. So when I have so the element index will be started from 1. So that's why I have to put here, this is 1. Okay. So when I is less than 4, meaning that when 1 is less than 4, Then I will add my first element, which is A1, which is 1, plus jumlah. So jumlah I have defined it to be 0. So 0 plus 1, you get 1, and that value will be stored in jumlah. And after that, I will increase my I by 1, so that when it is going upwards back, that I now to be 2. Okay? So since 2 is less than 4, then the jumlah from the previous calculation will be stored here, plus with A2. Okay, and you get a new jumlah here. And then that I will be updated by once again and go upwards back. And that value now is 3. So 3 is less than 4. So it is adding up the jumlah and going on until I suddenly more than 4. So when I more than 4, this jumlah will be stopped. And I will report my jumlah value by typing that variable jumlah. Okay, so I will save this and see what will happen. Okay, maybe I name it as tambah matrix. So look what will happen if I run this. Hopefully there is no error. And the answer is 6, correct. The first 3 numbers, 1 campur 2 campur 3 adalah 6. So how I do this? You need a bit of experience and logic. Yes, or if let's say you want to add the first 4 numbers, I just change this to be 5. And if I run that, then you get the jumlah. Now it's not 6 but 10 lah. 1 campur 2 campur 3 campur 4, you akan dapat 10. Okay? Boleh?
Boleh sir, okay.
Okay. Okay, so that will be the last slide of this week lecture. So for your assignment 3, and I hope that your assignment 2 already uploaded to your MS Team, because after this I will check it and I will give the response. So before you do this, please submit your assignment 2. So for assignment number 3, you are given 13 questions, but only one question will be solved by you. It's not all questions you have to do. But what is your problem question? So in order to know what is your problem question, you have to use this formula. Okay, so how to use this formula? Very easy. Let's say your metric number is 20180010. Let's say this is your metric number. So the formula is last 2 digits of your metric number, meaning that this is your last 2 digits. Okay, so last 2 digits will be 10 plus 10, you get 20, and that 20 divided by 10, you get 2, and that 2 you have to plus 2, 4. So your problem number will be 4. Okay, so kalau buka dekat you punya ni, saya buka saya tunjuk dia punya problem tu. Mana yang ini kod? Oh bukan. Saya kena cari sekejap. Ini. There are 13 atau 12 question kalau saya tak silap. Masing-masing soalan yang tak sama. You have different problems. Ni, semua ni problem. There are 13. So if let's say your matrix number macam ni rupa dia, so your problem will be problem number 4 lah. So problem number 4 lah you punya problem. So if let's say your matrix number, saya padam let's say your matrix number is 20182019, so the last 2 digit will be 19 lah. So 19 plus 10 according to this formula divided by 10 plus 2. So 19 campur 10 akan dapat 29. 29 bagi 10 you akan dapat 39, which is 3.9 lah. Plus 2 you get 5.9. So please only use the first number here, which is 5. So your problem number is number 5. So you punya problem number kat situ adalah 5, bukannya 5.9. So nombor 5 yang mana? Nombor 5 yang ni. You solve lah problem nombor 5 ni. You buatlah. So meaning that all of you have unique question. You tak akan dapat problem yang sama. Okay? Boleh?
Sir,
Siap.
yang assignment 2 yang mana?
Assignment 2 kan ada, saya ada bagi itu.
Oh,
Assignment
yang-
2 yang matrix tu.
Oh, yang minggu lepas punya?
Yang matrix tu yang kita belajar about population, kita ada belajar
Oh.
pasal, itu kan assignment tu.
Oh, okay.
Yang tu kena hantar sebelum buat ni.
Yang
Apa saya suruh hantar assignment number 3 ni? Okay, yes, apa nak tanya? Yes.
yang minggu lepas tu discuss kat Padlet tu kan sir?
Yes, semua dalam Padlet.
Kena upload kat Teams.
Kena masuk dalam Padlet lah. Saya nak hantar ke saya URL Padlet lah.
Okay.
Okay, sama juga yang ni, you kena hantar dalam Padlet juga. Assignment 3 also in Padlet. Put the codes and also dia punya jalan kerja lah. Okay, remember that this assignment number 3 will be used for the next class, which is week 4, where you will use if loops and while loops untuk assignment seterusnya. So kalau you tak buat assignment 3, assignment number 4 agak bermasalah jugalah sebab you tak mahir gunakan if and while loops. Dan sebab assignment number 4, which is the root finding using bisection method and Newton-Raphson method, you need to use if and if loop and also your while loops. So saya nak sangat you buat benda ni. Kalau tidak you takkan faham the next exercise. Okay? Is there any questions?
Sir,
Yeah.
yang assignment tu kan, kita kena tulis answer dia dekat Padlet juga ke?
Kita kena tulis sekali lah answer ni jalan kerja dia. Dia punya screenshot of that OCT program lah.
Oh, kena screenshot.
Screenshot lah. Ataupun kalau tak boleh screenshot, you pakai apa? You pakai crop pun boleh, tak ada masalah kan?
Oh, okay.
Yang mana mudah lah. Yang penting you bagi saya nampak dia punya code. Ataupun you nak letak dia punya program pun boleh dalam tu, tak ada masalah. As long as I can see the output of that code and also the code itself. So code tu sama ada you nak letak dia punya file ke, you nak crop ke, you nak screenshot ke, it's up to you. Yang penting saya boleh nampak. Jangan terlalu kecil lah you crop sampai saya tak nampak.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So far, any questions? So for this week assignment, it is quite challenging. Yes. Dia nak tanya apa? Okay, kalau tak ada nak tanya, saya beritahu sikit. This assignment number 3 is quite tough and challenging. Why? Because it is touching your field. So maybe some of the problem will be in the geotechnical problem. Some of the question is from static and dynamics problem. Some of the question may be in the structural engineering problem and so on. So before you answer that, sometimes you need to study the field. The field. Let's say if that is involved stress in soil. So maybe you have to know about the total stress, the pore pressure and so on. So kenapa saya buat begini? Because if you see the name of your subject is the computational analysis for engineers. So I have to put the engineering problem, the real engineering problem, so that you can expose to the industrial problem. So hopefully that does not demotivate you. If you have problem to answer that question, do not hesitate to WhatsApp me, or you can use whatever means to reach me to help you to solve the problem. Okay, any questions so far before we end the session of lecture?
Okay, kalau yang untuk nombor soalan kan, kalau dapat dikira tadi kan dapat 9 poin lebih kan. Ambil nombor 9 lah.
Ambil nombor 9, nombor depan je.
Okey tu.
Okey, ambil nombor depan ni. Okey. Okay, you can verify your attendance after 6 o'clock because it is already set up in the view future to be 6 o'clock. So you can verify your attendance after 6. So maybe dalam pukul 6:05 ke 6:10 minit you can verify. So verify your attendance and after that I will verify it for you so that we have double check whether you are existed or not. Okay? Soalan-soalan sebelum kita end the session of our lecture?
Sir, yang verify dekat year future tu tadi pukul 4 saya dah buat dah. Itu kira entry ke apa?
Tak, apa masuk you entry tu?
Yang macam verify attendance tu.
Saya tak pasti sama ada kena buat entry ke exit, saya tak pasti. Bila you kena buat tu saya tak pasti. Try cuba tengok dekat akhir kelas ni pukul 6 nanti, cuba check kena verify je tak?
Okay.
Cuba check sebab dia satu perkara yang baru bagi kita orang semua pun, termasuk pensyarah. So saya tak pasti sama ada buat awal ke, tengah-tengah ke atau hujung. Just check sajalah pukul 6 nanti. Takut nanti dia ada pula yang dekat hujung pula ada kan, kita tak tahu.
Okay sir.
Macam ada spot check kan, saya tak pastilah. You check. Okay, if there is no other, okay, Aida nak tanya apa? Aida, Sabrina?
Saya nak tanya sir, yang assignment 2 tu, kalau saya copy je boleh tak? Tak payah screenshot.
Kalau you apa?
Copy je, copy paste.
Copy paste memang boleh nampak lah. Yang penting nampak tak? Saya boleh nampak tak nanti?
Boleh?
Kalau saya boleh nampak, okey lah. Tak ada masalah. Okey je. As long as saya boleh nampak. Kalau you paste ke, you crop ke, saya tak nampak, tak gunalah. Buat bagi nampak. Sebab saya nak tengok. Kan?
Okay.
So tak kisahlah cara apalah. You nak copy ke, you nak paste ke, you nak tampal ke, you nak apa-apalah. Yang penting saya buka, saya boleh nampak. Then it's okay. Doesn't matter what is the method. Okay. So any questions so far before we end the session?
Sir,
Yep.
saya ada masalah dengan
Dengan apa?
Octave punya software ni. Saya tak boleh buka dengan
Pakai laptop ke pakai handset?
laptop. Sekarang ni saya pakai handset. Tapi kalau nak buat Octave tu memang laptop lah.
Okay, your laptop, is it your laptop is 32 bits or 64 bit system? You check lah tu.
64.
64, okay. Apa masalah dia?
Bila kita buka ni dia cakap kena administer. Sekejap. Windows Script Host access is disabled on this machine. Control administer for detail.
You nak share tak dia punya gambar? Boleh tak you share? Saya bagi, you nak share tak?
Boleh?
Okay, kejap saya matikan saya boleh share ni. And then let's see. Boleh share kan saya? Tolong share gambar dia. So share supaya kawan-kawan ni pun dapat tengok, kita pun tengok apa masalah dia.
Saya on video je rasa.
Macam mana?
Saya on video.
Boleh je tak masalah? Okey. Sekejap saya besarkan you punya ni. Okay, what is the problem? Yeah. The problem run, dia masa run ke dia masa open keluar ayat tu?
Masa open.
Masa open. Have you tried to uninstall and then install it back?
Yes, 3 times.
Okay. So the error is what? Saya nak tengok apa error dia. Apa tu? Windows script. Saya nampak macam Windows script authorization apa tak tu. Windows script dinonaktifkan. Oh, bahasa Melayu lah. Okay. Ini you untuk mengaktifkan klik. This is more on you punya antivirus ni, SmartDAF ni kan?
Oh, maybe.
This is your more on your SmartDAF ni. SmartDAF ni dia terlalu sensitif. Kadang-kadang ada benda yang dia tak benar ke tau. So kena matikan antivirus.
Oh.
Mungkin dia anggap komputer software Octave tu macam virus.
Okay.
Jadi you kena inaktifkan sajalah. You tak payahlah uninstall, inaktifkan SmartDAF and hopefully there's no problem after that lah.
Okay, baik. Saya cuba.
SmartDAF ni memang masalah. Kadang-kadang kita punya file pun hilang. Dia suka delete suka hati dia je.
Okay.
So hati-hati sikit sebab dia program dari Indonesia.
Okay, baik.
Okay. So any else? Anyone else? So kena pastikan you punya Octave okay sebab nanti kita akan buat you punya practical test adalah based on Octave. So pastikan okay, jangan tak okay sebab nanti kalau tak okay susah lah nanti saya nak access you punya performance sebab kita akan ada practical test. Pastikan okay Octave you. Nurul ni ada nak tanya?
No sir.
Okay. Yang lain macam mana nak tanya lagi ke? Atau you nak bersemang-semang dengan saya 1 jam lagi ke? Ada sejam lagi ni. Okay, if there is no other question, Nur Anissa macam nak tanya tu?
Ya, saya buat assignment tu dekat Padlet copy paste.
Okay.
Lepas tu untuk soalan yang problem 3 tu kan matrik dia panjang kan?
Oh, yang soalan apa ni? Stiffness metric tu macam ada K kan? Okay.
Bila saya copy paste dia tak jadi sebaris tau. Dia jadi macam dah celaru sikit lah. Macam mana?
Kalau katakan, kalau macam tu you crop kan tak boleh? Crop kan aja. Crop atau you paste kan? Tak boleh?
Oh, ambil gambar je lah.
Ambil gambar je lah. Tak boleh kata apa lah tu. Nanti saya tengok nanti saya besar-besar kan. Mata saya kena terjegil sikit lah tengok kan. Nomornya panjang. Tak apa. You crop kan aja. Okay. Selain daripada Nur Anissa lagi ada siapa-siapa nak tanya? Okay, kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan, I think this is our last session for this week. So for next week we'll do the lecture as usual. Okay, so I will end the class by Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and happy holiday for tomorrow. Tomorrow cuti kan?
Ya.
Hari saja kot. Jumaat kena balik kan kalau ada kelas lah. Kalau tak ada kelas cuti lah. Okay, goodbye. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, thank you sir. Assalamualaikum.
Okay, welcome.
Waalaikumsalam sir.